Greetings everyone, my name is Dr. Sessoms and I will be your instructor for LA 202. Welcome to our winter class. Hopefully you're ready for a fast-paced but very useful course. On this page, on the home page, you'll find a little overview. You'll also find the major outcomes. You should read these and make sure that you understand where we're headed, and also to check to see if you're getting to those places where we say you're supposed to get to. You should also take self-inventory as well and figure out what are you learning about yourself, because an online course is different from a face-to-face course. In some ways, you could think of face-to-face as being a little bit easier because you get to see your instructor every week or twice a week. It feels a little more safe because you've been doing it all your life, whereas online is a lot more independent. It takes a lot more motivation, a lot more organization. So it does make you find something different about yourself as a student. So keep that in mind. It's not hard per se in terms of the content, but most students that struggle with online courses treat it in the wrong way. And by that I mean, when you go to a face-to-face class, you know that every Monday at 12 o'clock you go to this room and something's going to be said. It's a constant reminder because you have to be there every week. Online, you have the flexibility of creating when you get your instruction and how you do your work. So that's a little different, and you have to be organized. So some students get lost in thinking, well, I can work 12 hours a day and then figure out how to do my online class later. The better approach is to say, okay, let me treat this like a face-to-face. I know if I were in a face-to-face class, I would either be 5 days a week for 50 minutes or 1 day a week for 2 hours and 45 minutes. Whatever it is, you need to block out a certain amount of time during the day. That could be morning, it could be evening, it could be morning and evening, it could be any combination of the day that you want, as long as you put in the right amount of hours. Now, it's recommended that you spend about 5 or 6 hours per day on the course, and that's reading and completing assignments and doing what you need to do. Some of that will vary depending on who you are as a student, how fast you work. So that can vary. So that's a conservative estimate, and maybe a little bit more. Could be less for some of you. So it just depends on who you are as a student. But keep that in mind in our online class. At the bottom of our page, we have some required materials. You do need to purchase a live text account. If you've never used live text, you can go to livetext.com, and then there's a place on there for you to purchase an account and ask you about your university, and you should get the $99 version. If you already have live text, you do not need a new account. You just need to make sure you know your username and password. This will be used every semester you're in the program until you graduate into your internship. So you will need to use live text frequently. We have 3 assignments that we'll complete in there, and they're called signature assessments. And that means that every student that takes this course has used the same rubric across all classes. And in fact, all of your methods courses will have a signature assessment. And that's one assignment that you do in live text that has every section has the same rubric, every section has the same assignment guidelines, and we use that for evaluation purposes of you and our program. And for us, we'll be covering the Maryland Teacher Technology Standards, which are required by the Maryland State Department of Education for every student graduating from an education program in the state of Maryland. Then there are a couple of memberships that you may want to pursue. There's Merlot. This is a great resource that provides you with lesson plans and different ideas. Same thing with Teachers First. Both of those are pretty good. And ThinkPort is more of a Maryland brand, so it does somewhat of the same thing, but it's slightly different. You'll find lots of resources. Take advantage of those 3. You need an audio recording device, and that should be a USB headset that you can purchase from Amazon or any electronics store wherever you shop online. You should pay between $12 and $15, maybe a little less depending on how savvy of a shopper you are, but you definitely don't need to spend much more than that. Don't buy anything that's $25 or $30. This price range is about all you need. You do need a USB headset to do the web-based discussions we'll do. You need it to record some assignments that we'll do. You'll use a tool called Screencast-O-Matic, which is what I'm using right now to record this video. You'll do some audio recording, so you'll do quite a few things with your USB headset. There is no textbook, and the readings will be provided throughout the assignments that we complete. So if we go back to the top, and if you notice, this is the student view. My classes allows me to show you or to see what you see. So I'm recording in the student view right now. So this is what you should see when you log in. And here you have grades. If you click on that, once we get them, that's where you'll find all your grades. If you want to see who's in the class, you'll be able to click on people. Quizzes are here. We'll have a couple of those, and there'll be one at the end when we do for the course evaluation. Then there's a syllabus that just tells you about everything in the class, and the modules is where the main place you'll visit throughout the course. So let's take our time and go through here. When you first log in, these are the modules you'll see, and all you need to do is to click on this arrow to get the drop down if they don't appear already. The course overview, we just went through that part. Getting started, you need to click on this, and then it will show you what you need to do to get started. You need to go to wix.com, set up an account, and this is for your website that you'll create, and I'll show you that module momentarily. Same thing for Digo. You need to create an account there. We'll talk about that module momentarily. Once you've set up the website and the Digo, then you'll be ready to complete this student information form, and I'll show you where that is. Then there's your first article that you'll read will be Assistive Technology. This will give you some tools that you can put into your Digo account, which will serve as your digital library. And next we'll go back up to our modules. And this is the student information form. You'll click on this. And it says it's not open for you till December 31st. So let's go into my account so you can see what that looks like. So now you'll notice we have a slightly different setup because I'm not in the student view, but you'll still see this student information form, and you just click on it and you'll be able to either complete the form directly in your browser, or you can click on this link if you'd rather do it that way. But that's a student information form. All right, let's go back to modules. So that covers the course information part. I'll close that one. Then week 1 is about foundations and standards, and the standards are the Maryland Technology Standards. So Digo, we click on this, and this shows us where we go. It gives us all the details for the assignment. And for some assignments, you'll see them aligned to something that says NETS, and that's the National Educational Technology Standards for students. And then there's also a set called National Educational Technology Standards for teachers. So you'll see some of these aligned with those standards. And then you'll also see for your assignments, you'll see videos that will show you how to do everything. So if you click on those, it'll show you how to navigate and get started. This just tells you a little bit about the Digo. The sources for your digital library, this means this will give you places where you can find resources to put into Digo. And here are your requirements. So I mentioned some tags earlier. You need to make sure that you have these 6 tags and that there are 3 resources in each of those tags. So that's 18 that you have to have in terms of these categories. But then there's 12 more that you need that could be in these categories, or they could be some other category. Because as you research and find items, you'll probably start to come across stuff that does not fit in these categories. And then you just make your own tag. But you need to make sure you do these 6, and then you can add any other tags that you might need. And right here it says you need at least 30 entries. And again, this is just a link to the Assistive Technology article again, as well as a link to the Office of Special Education for Wacomico County, so you can find some resources there. And this is another link to the South Carolina Assistive Technology Program, so you can find resources there. So that's the tag, Assistive Technology, and you just have to get some tools that are geared towards assistive technology. 3 of them, put them in there. Social studies, same thing. Now, one major source where you can get something from is the actual course. So as you complete some of the modules, you'll certainly be learning about different tools. For example, this tool that I'm using right now is called Screencast-O-Matic, which allows you to record your screen, your voice, and your mouse clicks. And you'll notice that there's no category here. So if I wanted to put Screencast-O-Matic in, I might put in presentation tools or screen recording tools, and that would be my tag for that. And you'll understand the tags once you watch this video about Digo and how to use it. You'll understand what I mean by tags. All right, and then some of the things that trip students up for this should be a pretty easy grade to get, but students will mess this up by doing this, ignoring the entries that they need to make. So what you can't do is go a whole week and make no entries and then come back and do 20 or 30 at one time, or wait till the end of the semester and put in 30. Your DIGO account needs to show that you started at the beginning of class and that you made consistent entries throughout the class. So since our span is only January, I'll look at January 3rd through January 24th. So on January 3rd, I should see some entries. January 4th, the 5th, like that, I should see those entries. What I shouldn't see is that you make one entry on January 3rd, then it goes to the back of your mind, then on January 23rd, you throw in 29 of them. You will not get credit for doing that. So make sure you start on this early and keep this in mind. And I usually send daily reminders, so I'll try to keep up with that to help you out. But that's DIGO, so I'll close that. And once you submit your username on the student information form, you will not need to submit this in my classes. The grade will go there, but you do not need to submit anything for DIGO in my classes. All right, now let's go back to modules. We'll click on website. So I mentioned in DIGO, the way students don't get the full credit for the grade is that they forget to make entries, they don't actually do it, and they wait till the end. And it could be the difference in you between an A and a B or a B and a C if you ignore this, because you will get a 0 if you have 25, or if you don't hit that 30, and if you have the regulations followed, you will not get credit, and it will affect your final grade. So make sure that you do that. The same thing with the website. Sometimes students don't read carefully, so that's something else that you want to do, is make sure you understand everything you have to do, read all the details, ask as many questions as you need to ask, but everything is laid out for you in all of the modules, so there should be nothing that you can't understand. But again, if you have questions, make sure that you contact me. So when you click on this video, it'll show you how to set up your website. It'll show you these 4 pages. I actually make these pages in the video. I show you how to add audio, images, manipulate text, upload images, get the link to your website, which you'll need when you complete the student information form. And then below, this tells you what needs to go on the pages. So here's the home page, and it tells you need an image, you need a welcome and a purpose, and that's a little introductory paragraph. You'll need a quote, and you also need an audio recording. So you will have to install some software. And that means that you'll install something called Audacity, which is a free audio editing software. And there are 2 file types that you work with that. One is the AUP file, which is the project file, and then one is the actual MP3. So you need to export it as an MP3. And the video will show you how to do all that. Then there's a calendar page. This shows you how to create your calendar, and this shows how to embed the calendar on your website. Then you have the parent-student resource page, and this just tells you what goes on that page. And you should have between 5 and 10 resources for parents and students. So if you're on the lower end, it's 10, because you'll have 5 for parents, 5 for students. If you're on the higher end, you'll have more. Some students do a great job and provide lots of resources. If you wait till the end, most of the students that don't do well on this, they put 1 or 2 items and then they're just doing it to get it done. So make sure that you're paying attention to this. You also need to put a form on your parent page, and this form is like the first day of class when you step in front of the group and you know you need to collect information about them. This is a way to collect it digitally, so you'll learn how to create a Google form, and you'll learn how to embed that Google form, and a parent would be able to go to your page and enter whatever information. Now, you're not asking for stuff like birth dates and social security numbers. It's not that kind of stuff. What you're asking about is their favorite colors and allergies that you need to be aware of. You're asking those kinds of questions, just like you would collect in class the first week or 2 of school. And then there's the professional development page, and this is where all of your hangout discussions will go, and we'll talk about those. So that's your website. So you need to set these up right away. Like I said, these will not be due the first week, but you do need to make progress on them daily so that you can keep up with them. Your first assignment, though, is Universal Design for Learning. And you click on this, it takes you to a module that's created at Vanderbilt University. It's called the IRIS Center, and these are free resources for educators. You'll complete that, and you'll have a quiz, and you'll have some open-ended stuff to type up in a Google Doc. But that's your first assignment. And then you have MTTS 4, 7, and MTTS 1, 2, 3. All of these are associated with the Maryland Teacher Technology Standards, and those will be in live text. So if you click on this, there's nothing here. The only thing that you'll get here at the end is I'll put the grade in the grade book, but other than that, you want to make sure that you go to live text to access the assignment details for MTTS 4, MTTS 7, and MTTS 1, 2, 3. Again, you will not submit anything in my classes for these 3 assignments. You will submit it in live text, and I will eventually transfer the grade into my classes so you can see the grade. All right, so that's week 1. Week 2, content applications. Each one of these is centered around a tool that's used specifically with that content area. So we have a tool that we use for social studies called Timeliner. We use something called ThingLink, and we also use a Library of Congress resource. Read Aloud, we're doing some work with audio, dynamic math software, there's some web-based software called GeoGebra, and in science we're doing some simulations. All right, and then we close, and then week 3, you have an interactive board lesson to do. You have computational thinking, and this is programming. We'll use something called Scratch, which some of you may have heard of. We'll do a digital story, and then here's your YouTube live streaming. Before I talk about that, though, and I'll just mention that your last assignment, the class ends on the 24th, but you have until the 27th to submit the iPads in the classroom assignment. And let's take a look at your YouTube live streaming. So what this is it is a way for you to communicate online and discuss, in this case, technology tools without ever having to be in the same place. So this is a good thing for you to know how to do as a teacher, because you can create conversations and then share them with people, or you can collaborate with teachers that are in other counties, other states, other countries, and once you understand that process and know how to do it. So this gives you the requirements. There is a format for your presentation, so the tools you have to look up should follow this particular format. I suggest that you create a presentation, and you can use PowerPoint, you can use Adobe Spark, I'm using Zoho Show, you can use any kind of tools like that. But you need to have a title slide, and then each slide should have this as a title. So this one says who. You need to answer these questions, but the questions should not appear on your final presentation. This is just a template so you know what goes on each slide. And then the next slide is what, and you answer these questions, but you get rid of this text, and only your responses should be there, just like you would do any other type of presentation. Then when, then why, then you have a conclusion, and you list your 3 reasons why the tool should be used. And then you need a reference, and this is just links to the tools that you discuss in that YouTube live streaming. Group etiquette. One of the most important things here is that you need to be responsive to your group members, and you also need to make sure that you participate and complete this with your group. So not completing this could mean that you fail the course, but it'll definitely mean that you get a 0 on the assignment, which will, and you notice right here it says not completing any of the discussions. So there's, like I said, there's 3 of them. So if you miss one of them, you'll get a 0 on the assignment, and it'll reduce your grade at the end. So make sure that you cooperate and collaborate with your group, and try to make sure you're real flexible with everybody in your group so that everybody gets this done. Then this tells you what you need to do for each discussion. So discussion number 1, you'll click on this link. It'll take you to this page, and I tell you which categories to choose from because they're categorized here. So one of them is formative assessment. So for example, if there's 3 people in your group, each person would take 2 tools. So 2 here for one person, 2 more for another person, and then 2 more for the last person. If you have a group of 2, then you'll do 3 and 3. In situations like this, where you have 1 each, then if it's 3 in a group, then each of you have 1. And this is one of them. observational assessment. Now there's only 2, and if there's 3 people in your group, what you want to do is divide up the task. So it could be 2 people working on one, or all 3 of you work on different aspects of both of them, however you want to divide that up as a group. So that's how that works. And then we'll go back, and this tells you that no more than 5 minutes should be allotted to each category. So you want to keep your presentation moving. So you want to make sure that you get through 5 minutes for each, because I don't want you to do this for 80 minutes. So I tried to make it so you are between no more than 20 minutes and maybe 25 at the most, but I tried to keep this short for you. Then there is discussion number 2, where you just click on Kathy Schrock Guide to Everything. And on this, you choose whatever you want. So if, again, 3 people in each group, each of you chooses any 2 tools you want from any category. Doesn't matter. You just find something that you like, you look it up, you find out information about it, you create the presentation. The only thing you need to do is to make sure that you're not duplicating any tools, because that gives you a broader range of what each of you brings. So all 3 of you in your group should all have different tools. And this is also a place to go for you to find resources for your DGO library as well. And then in discussion 3, you click on this. This takes you to apps in the field placement. And these are actual apps that are used at different schools in our professional development network. And the professional development schools are the schools where you go to do your placement. We have a specific relationship with certain schools, and they're identified by the state as professional development schools, and that's where our interns go, and that's where you go. And these are tools that they use, or apps I should say, that they use if they have iPads. Now, if the school doesn't have iPads, certainly they don't use these apps. But again, as a group, you'll determine over here, each of you will pick 5 apps, and you have 1.5 minutes for each app that you do. And again, I did this so that it could be sort of a rapid fire. This is where you need to be concise, and you need to give some very specific main points about each tool, so that whoever's watching can have a good understanding of what it is, what it's about, that kind of thing, so that I should be able to watch your 1.5 minute app review and know how to get started, what it's for, where to go find it, that sort of thing. So, but I wanted to be rapid so that you don't spend a lot of time doing this. And those are your 3 discussions, and they'll all be recorded, and they'll be saved and stored on your YouTube channel, which I talk about in the YouTube live streaming video. And they also are embedded on your website, and you'll see how to do that when you look at the website module. All right, let's click on modules again. And that pretty much covers everything. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. But this will be a fast-paced course. The best thing you can do is be organized, make time to get your work done every day. Like I said, I recommend 5 to 6 hours. And that'll vary from person to person, but stay on. You should be doing something every day. There shouldn't be a day that goes by that you're not doing something. If so, you could get behind, and it's hard to, during the semester, regular semester, you can get behind a little bit and catch up. But in a winter term semester, if you get behind a couple of days, you probably will not be successful. So make sure you are organized, you stay on, and you stay working and doing something every day. You ask questions immediately when you don't understand, and you let go of your fears about anything. So anything that happens, we can figure it out, but you got to let me know and give me the opportunity to help you. If you don't tell me, I won't know. And then you can't say later, I didn't get it, or it's better if you just let me know rather than letting something go and you not get the most out of the course. So go through this, ask me any questions that you need to ask. I'm here to help you. I want you to have the best possible experience, and I want to help you as much as possible, because if you're not successful, I'm not successful.